All right, so we've got another lesson here. All right, this is about BPM and where it comes from. It's good to know about these certain things, even though that they seem kind of irrelevant. They're going to help you on in the future. One of the things about BPM is maybe some, back in the day, they didn't have sync. They didn't have, okay, this is the master. They actually had to count. Generally, I did it every 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds, I would count how many beats were within that 5 seconds and multiplied it by 12. Because you get 5 seconds multiplied by 12, you got 1 minute, 60 seconds, right? 60. So you, upon doing that, however many beats you counted within 5 seconds, let's say it was 8. You would go ahead and go 8 times 12. And then you would go and have 96 BPM. So, and then you would use your pitch faders to get everything close, or at least jog it in and then kind of keep correcting. You don't have to do that too much these days, but it's a really good idea to have some practice doing that. So, cool thing that you can do is take a couple songs that are not quite the correct BPM. Let me see what we can do here. And kind of practice with the tempo fader on your either on your controller or anything else. If you don't feel like you need to, then obviously there's no real point to it. But a terminology I want to come across is something called a train wreck, and that's usually when two songs, they may not necessarily be offbeat at the beginning, but they'll start trailing off. That means that your tempo's off. If it was on beat, if a song is on beat and then it starts slowly trailing off and into the sunset, and it's not complying with what you want, it's not staying in time, then that's what's referred to as a train wreck. And I'll kind of touch base on it here. Let me try this little groovy track here. All right, cool. So this is actually a French track, but it kind of sounds reggaeton, and I kind of like reggaeton. So let's try to bring in this one. All right, cool. So we got a simple drum. Now it was off time because I didn't have it synced up, so I had to jog it in. So let me backtrack here. And also, it wasn't on the 1. It's very important that on these phrases that you started on the 1. Okay, so otherwise you can have your beats per minute correct, and it will sound like garbage, and you don't know why, because the beats are aligned correctly, but your beat grid, or what you would call the 1, 2, 3, 4 that I discussed in the last lesson, are off. You could have probably started on the 3. You could have started on the 2. You could have started on the 4. You didn't start on the 1. Sometimes you can start on the 2, but you got to start, for now, on these lessons, start on the 1. So, I'll show you here. Let me go right here. And then, oh, there's already a key point there. There we go. All right, let's see how that sounds. Okay, what's going on here is that they're not in time. So what you would do is you would jog it over. Well, you wouldn't jog it. You can actually move it over, but okay, now they're in time. What happened was I used my jog wheel and I spun it over because it was on the 4. It didn't sound good. So let me go back. where it was on the 4. Okay, they're on the same beat, but you can tell where things are conflicting with their 1 and our 1 right here. Let me drop it back to the, let me drop it back to 3. Okay, so we got away with that, but we're not going to get away with it in a real song, because eventually our phrases won't match. Even though that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we didn't start it on a phrase, because we're totally out of whack now. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Alright, so let's go ahead. If we're totally off, we don't know exactly where anything is, let's say that something like this were to occur, and you have no idea what the heck is going on. Look for the next phrase, and then look at your other track, and then kind of subtract. Oh, I was off 1 or 2 or something like that. You'll know ahead of time, or you should know ahead of time. So let's, well actually by the time the next phrase hits, you'll probably be screwed. So before that phrase hits, you better get it right, or cut that track out, or do some sort of filter effects and just, actually don't even do it, just cut it. Just cut it right at the phrase of the one that you're introducing. This way, at the change of the phrase that they're all hearing, you've already cut all that garbage out. So, alright, let's see what we got. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do another mix-in point and show you the importance of phrasing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this loop, which is what I do on outros. On outros, I'll loop. It's cool to loop. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, they're only going to listen to this for about 3 passes before they get tired of it. So it would be a good idea just not, I mean, if you're going to get out of there, you better get out. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and build in a or mix in a build-up. So what I'm going to do here is on this one, on the last lesson, remember how you did a drop after the build-up? I'm going to use the build-up as an entry point. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ideally what I want to do is when I mix out and I'm totally into the song, that drop comes in and that's all you hear. So there's a lot of vocals in track 1 that's going on, so I'm going to kind of use my intuition, but I'm going to let this drop take over and cut it completely. So I kept my faders and everything going on here, so you can see exactly what's going on with my faders, my knobs, and stuff like that. So you can follow along and see what all I'm doing and how I'm making this work. I'm not going to use any effects. I'm just going to do basic stuff for this lesson, and let's see how it works. I probably should have cut it a little sooner there, but I was kind of finagling a little bit. So, anyways, it's not perfect mix, but it's acceptable. I mean, for learning purposes, maybe you'll do it better. That's my whole goal. But practice, have fun, and see how it works.